Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. This is part 2 of working with the Greetery Ornament box top die and stamp sets. I have, in the first part, which I posted yesterday, put together all of the ornaments that are going to fill up these boxes, and today we're going to finish up by actually putting everything together to create our finished cards. So I have pulled out this pad of pattern paper. I want to use a pattern for the background of our boxes. And I'm going to pull one out in 3 different colors here. This is a stack of paper I got from Joann's. It is die cut with a view. There I'm giving you a quick look. And I pulled out 4 different colors. We're going to next go ahead and trim these down to 4 by 5 1/4 because I want this to cover the full front. This is going to be the background of our boxes, but also the full front of our card base. So just trimming each of these down, I'm going to sort of cut in and out for the sake of time here. And I do speed things up to, I think, 300%. There I've got all of my backgrounds cut out, and now we're working with the Curio die. So this gives you the frame as well as boxes that will fit inside of each of these frames. I have gone ahead and cut these out in all of my colors, and I'm just arranging here on what I think I like best. Because we have so many different colors going on, I decided for the most part here to sort of do tone on tone, or green on green, blue on blue, pink on pink. And then because I didn't have a red, we're going to go with purple just because I like red and purple together. So I'm laying all of these out, and now you're seeing all of the little boxes that fit inside. I'm doing my best to mix and match these so we have lots of bright colors, but also so that I'm not doubling up anything. I think there's 1 or 2 maybe where we have 2 of the same color, but for the most part, I was able to work that out to keep a really nice variety. And then once we have all of our boxes in place, I'm going to pull out our ornaments and we will lay those out as well. So next we're going to get our box top stamped out, and I'm just including one of these because it was quite a process because we needed a really nice solid stamp on this, and that is always something I struggle with. It did take me a bit of time to get some solid ink on there that I was happy with. So we're going to do this several different times. You'll see that I will pull in a brayer to help add a little bit of pressure, even pressure on my stamp to make sure that's down. But I'm going to do this in 4 different colors. So the inks that I've used are from Concord and Ninth, Poppy for our red. From Simon Says Stamp, we've got Blush for pink and Tropic for our blue. And then from Lawn Fawn, I'm going to use Fresh Cut Grass for our green. So there you can see it gives off a pretty good stamp. That first pass there went really well. But I'm just going to keep layering this until I have a nice solid background. I did not want any splotches on this. I wanted it to look as real as possible. And there you can see I have pulled in my brayer. I'm running that across. Not putting too much pressure. This really helped me get some even pressure. So that I would actually highly recommend, just don't press too hard because you don't want to crack your misty window or door. Just adding a little bit more ink in only the places where I felt like it needed it. And now I can be happy with that. So we're going to lift this up. I'm going to trim this down. And then we also need to stamp out the bottom portion again, because we're going to cut out that 100% Mary, that little circle. You can also cut out the little present with the holly on it. I chose not to use that for mine, but it is an option with the dies included. So yep, we're gonna jump ahead here, and I'm just giving you a look at lining up the stencil to cut out the window in the center here of this. Works really well. And then there is also a die to cut out the little circle, the present, and the banner as well. So I neglected to show you the banner, but you do need to, if you want to pop up the banner, you need to stamp out the top portion of that stamp again as well. And then you can trim that out with a die. I'm going to go ahead here and trim around all of our box toppers. I wanted this to look as real as possible. So we are going to add the plastic behind that little window. I'm using some leftover packaging for this. I keep everything, as you guys know, so this came in very handy. I've trimmed that down, added a little ATG around the inside here, around that opening for my window. And I'm just going to lay that plastic sheet down, and then we will trim away any excess. And there you can see we've got our little window. All right, now we can go ahead here and actually get our cards put together. So I have done this in assembly line. I'm going to talk you through the first one, and then we'll continue on. I'm going to show you all 3 of them, or sorry, all 4 total, the additional 3 as well. We're going to add some art glitter glue to the back of this frame, and then we will do the same for all of our little squares here to fill those in. And now we'll get our ornaments laid out. And again, to keep this as real as possible, I'm going to pop these up. I wanted to give this some dimension. I want it to look like these ornaments are sitting, you know, inside their little sections of this box. So we're just going to add some pop dots behind each of these. I'm also carefully sort of angling them. I don't want them sitting perfectly inside those. It's not natural. So we're just going to give a little bit of skew to that. And then for these two smallest here, sometimes I will use an ornament in that top left corner. Other times I will pull in one of the little deer that we had put together. But for these two smallest here, our wreath and our holly, I'm just going to cut the smallest pop dot in half there. And we'll use two little pieces on each of those. I decided because I'm using a patterned paper for my background instead of a cardstock, I didn't want to add liquid glue to that. So I'm just going to use my ATG, place that really, really thoroughly over the front of my card base, and then we will lay that down on top. For my window section here, I'm going to use some of my foam strips. These are the ones I get off of Amazon. They're great for shaker cards and they worked great for this as well. I'm going to do 2 layers deep of this around the outside of my window. So again, as I mentioned yesterday, this was a lengthy process to put these cards together. Completely worth it in the end, in my opinion. Here you'll see I ran into, there was some excess plastic there that hadn't been held down with some ATG because I had just gone right around the outside of that window. So trimming around the excess, and now I will get all that pressed into place. But as I was saying, this was a lengthy process, but oh so worth it in the end for me. I love how real these look and how they turned out, and a lot of time, but well worth the effort. So there you can see I've got my first layer on. I'm going to peel away the backing from that, and then I will add a second layer all the way around. I did have to seam these just because of the length of the strip. So where I did that, I tried to not let any of those seams match up. So I will start at a different corner as I lay on this second layer, and that way we're getting a nice solid foundation of this foam. Again, just making sure everything's nice and even and that foam's down nice and tight. Now, as I laid my window up to my card base, I realized it's slightly smaller than my A2 card base. And I don't know if I was off in trimming my card bases or if it just runs naturally a little bit smaller. It might have been when I trimmed out my windows, but I did have to do that for all 4 cards. Not a big deal. I just took a little, maybe 1/8 of an inch, slightly more off of each side. I lined up the window after I finished it with all the foam, and then just kind of judged by eye on how much I needed to take off. Of course, I peel away the backing there, and I'm going to add this window on top, and now we have what actually looks like a box of ornaments for the front of our card. I'm going to pull in the banner and the little sticker to place on the bottom there, just adding some foam dots behind those. Again, you could have the present in a different color on that right hand bottom side if you'd like. I thought that these 2 elements were enough. And sorry, my head is going to pop in every time I do those banners because it was very finicky to make sure I didn't have the one underneath it popping out. So that takes you through the first in this sort of process of placing our front of our cards together. I'm going to add in music, and again, I have included the additional 3 of these for you, and then I'm going to meet you back for the next step of this assembly line process.
your pack, your cream, all the stockings you will find hanging in a row. Mine will be the shortest one, you'll be sure to know.
All right, so now we are almost there. We're ready to work on our inside sentiment. This is from Simon Says Stamp. It is an older set. It's called Holiday Greetings Mix 1. And this reads out, wishing you the absolute merriest, joy-filled Christmas ever. I thought it worked really well. It's a very similar font to that merry and bright that's on the front of our card in the banner. And I'm going to stamp this out in the same 4 colors that we did our box tops. I'm just going to alternate these. I match the inside with the same color of our banner and our little 100% Merry sticker at the bottom there. Just kind of coordinating and keeping everything all together. Of course, we will go ahead, add some ATG to the back of that panel, place that on the inside of all of our card bases. And I am giving you a slowed down, finished look at each of our cards here. And that is going to finish up our Christmas in July series. I'm going to give you a last look here at all 4 of our finished cards. Absolutely in love with these. The detail is incredible. I'm going to include a few close-up pictures here for you, of course, in my blog post, which is linked below in the description. I will have many more close-up photos for you, as well as a list of all the supplies that I've used today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.